Hey, how you doing? So last week we had some days that were quite hot, except they didn't really feel hot because there was a breeze. But the temperatures did pass 30, somewhere in the low 30s, especially in the room next door where my air pump is. It was quite hot in there. But I was outside for a good part of the hot part of the day. I was doing some gardening. And because of the breeze, I didn't realize how hot it really was. So when I came inside, my cories were like, I thought they were going to die. They were just lying on their rock like they were really, really stressed out. And the thing is, they had been stressed out already because I had been away for 5 days. And so they were a little bit stressed out when I came back from my holiday, but they didn't seem too bad at all when I came back from my holiday. But last week when it was hot, wow, I thought they were gonna die. Oh, but what I did was, actually, I didn't even realize at first what it was. I kept thinking, okay, my parameters were getting a bit high because the rocks in here are actually changing the parameters of the water. But that's what happens when you take rocks off of your driveway and stick them in your aquarium, right? Even though we tested them with vinegar, the vinegar doesn't always show bubbles, even if the rock is quite limey. So yeah. So they've been dealing with some high KH and high GH, but they didn't seem to mind that part of it too much. I'm pretty sure it was the heat that really got to them that day that I came in from my gardening and found them lying. They were all lying on my flat rock over here where I usually feed them, and they didn't want to move. So I put some cold water in the top of the aquarium, and after that they came out and started to play. But just one set of cold water isn't going to be enough, so that got heated up pretty fast itself, and the tank went back to something over 30. I actually didn't check the thermometer on my thermostat, which I should have done, but I'm pretty sure the water must have gotten up into the 30s because the air was quite hot. So yeah, so I mean, if you put some cold water in, it's not going to be enough. And I remember when I was a girl growing up in Trinidad, the boy next door to me would rush home from school every day to put ice cubes in the 6 half barrels that he had. He used to breed fancy guppies. Well, they were fancy-ish. We didn't have such fancy ones back then, but he was breeding some pretty nice ones. And he would rush home, because it's definitely in the 30s in Trinidad. And I think his 6 half barrels were in the sun as well, especially at 3 p.m. when school is over. So he would come home and just dump a bunch of ice in all 6 of them. But for me, I don't really want to be dumping ice in the aquarium every day that it's hot. And over the next 6 weeks, I'm expecting a lot more of those 30-ish kind of days. So by the way, 30 is in the 90s, okay? 90s Fahrenheit, 30-ish centigrade, Celsius. Yeah, so I don't really want to be doing the ice thing. It doesn't seem to be very efficient to me. What I'm thinking of doing is I have an old cooler that we used to take camping when the girls were young, and I'm going to put ice packs in the bottom of that cooler, and then I'm going to put my air pump in there, protected from the condensation, of course, and just let it pump cold air into the tank. So that might make the heater come on as well, but I don't mind. As long as my cories don't die, I just love them. I love them to bits, and so I don't want them to die. And that's what I'm going to do, because I can't afford a real chiller. So I think, something like that, you can probably think up some version of that for yourself. Um, Most of the time when I do DIYs, it's not really to save money. It's just that, okay, I think that my stuff is better than the manufactured stuff, okay? Yeah. Anyway, if you can't afford a chiller, you might want to try that. And if you don't have an air pump, you can get those, little ones for, I don't even know what, $10 to 15, 20. And it's worth saving your fish if it's going to be hot like that, right? Yeah. And oh, by the way, remember, I don't know if all of you have seen that other video I made where I mentioned that I was changing the diaphragm or the mechanism inside of my air pump? Well, that job went so well. It was so easy to do. Just take out the little mechanism and put in the new one. And now the air pump is, I mean, you can't even hear it. You have to put your ear right down near to the air pump to hear a little tiny buzz. And it's really, really good and pumping really, really good. And I noticed that the old diaphragm was actually, it had a rip in it from being that old, because it's, I don't know, several years that it's been running. So Tetra Whisper air pump, I really, really like. They're really quiet. As long as you have a good diaphragm on there, they're quiet. And I have another air pump. So this one that's on here is 100. It's designed for 100 gallons. I have another one that's designed for 20, and that also is getting really loud. But I just can't find the little mechanism. But I think that some people say that it's difficult to change the diaphragm only, but I have a feeling it's not really. So I'm thinking if I can find a diaphragm of the right size, I might just try changing the diaphragm only, not the whole mechanism on the 20-gallon one, because I bought 2 mechanisms for the 100-gallon one that's behind me. I only use one side actually, so the other side is just a dud. It doesn't have any mechanism, and electricity is going to it, but there's nothing to run, so there's no air coming out of the left side. I just use the right side. And so that would be enough for 50 gallons, and there's only 40 gallons in this tank right now, so it's doing a good job. And I'm hoping, and I'll let you know how it goes if I just change the diaphragm only, okay? See how it goes. I'm pretty sure that Tetra doesn't sell the diaphragm only. They're not stupid, right? Why should they sell you something that's less than $5 when they can sell you something that's $15? Mm-hmm. Okay, so now my corridors are doing fine because, well, it took them a few days to recover from their heat. Okay, so they've been, you know what corridors are like. They just swim all day long, basically. I mean, they rest sometimes, but not that kind of extended resting. So they had a couple days there when I thought, oh, are they gonna die? But no, they just rested for a couple of days. I made sure that the water was not too hot ever. But it wouldn't have gone up anyway because the temperatures in the ambient temperature came down quite a bit into the 20s. So it was, and today has been quite cool as well. So they're fine again, swimming around. They're a little bit shaken and they get tired easily, but I think they're going to recover. Okay, so I just wanted to give you that little tip about, if you have heat waves where you are. Some people say there's no such thing as climate change, but to me, I think there is. Around here, there definitely is climate change. And we're getting a lot more very hot days like that. So we have to be prepared for those hot days. And so if you have a little, even, you know what? Even a pot, if you stick some ice packs in the bottom, because ice is very humid, right? It gives off a lot of humidity. You stick some ice packs in the bottom of a pot. You could have one of those little cooling racks. Some of them are round. You can get a cooling rack to rest your air pump on, and then just cover that with a plastic bag and a blanket, and it will cool your air so that you can keep your aquarium cool on the hot days. So think about that, because you don't want to be losing your nice fish just because the temperature has gone up, okay? So don't let that happen to you. Be careful about that. All right. So thank you for watching this one, and we'll see you next time. Okay, bye.